Hello and welcome back to the third episode of our series on female workwear. Today we're hosting Luke Alcock, the Sales Director at Lyreco Workwear. Hi Luke, and thank you for joining us today. In previous episodes of this series we talked a bit about safety footwear, but today we want to focus on workwear and especially high visibility clothing, which Lyreco is an expert and true pioneers in. Can you tell us a bit more about Lyreco's background and how you got started in the workwear industry?
Sure. So Lyreco Workwear was originally called Lyreco Textiles 40 years ago. A small manufacturing plant down in Barnstaple in North Devon, where we're manufacturing ladies' underwear at the time. And then the evolution came where there were some roadside workers who wanted to put together some high-vis clothing, so they gave us some fabric, some tape, and we put those components together and created some of the first high-vis waistcoats that entered the market in the UK. For my own personal journey, I joined the business 25 years ago, starting off in customer service, and at the time we were still fully manufacturing in Barnstaple, so therefore the journey from being a authentic manufacturer through to today's kind of importer slash stockist innovators, I guess, has seen the business go from strength to strength.
Yeah, and what industries have you targeted?
Primarily the rail sector, highways and construction would be three of the biggest sectors. Again, they all kind of interchange and intertwine in many ways. One of the things that we have seen is that a lot of the kind of businesses that operate in those sectors, they often will work in rail and in highways, for example. So,
any specific challenges you can see female have in that kind of industries?
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things would be fit. The challenge always was that how do you ensure that, although you want someone to be highly visible, but you want things to fit appropriately.
Yes.
And one of the main problems that we have there was that things would be too big, too long, or arms too long. Now that becomes unsafe by design. And this is where the kind of the female journey began for Lyreco, because back in my kind of more customer service days, a lot of inquiries were coming into the business for extra small, double extra small. Mm-hmm. And as we sort of pushed a little harder as to why there are so many small people being employed, it soon transpired that it was actually because there were females that needed high-vis clothing, needed to be safe. There were more jobs, there was more overlaps, and that's where the Lyreco female journey began in terms of developing the range that you see today.
So it was more or less inquiries from potential customers that motivated you to create this line?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we were kind of listening and scratching behind the surface rather than just taking the inquiry. It was a case of, as we became more of a stockist, well, do we need to stock an extra small? Or is there more to this? And when it transpired that actually it was more to cater for the smaller female wearers, but then you started to kind of embellish a bit more on that and kind of thought, well, hang on a minute, what about the kind of larger female wearers? There's probably a problem for them when they're putting a large male jacket on. What can we do to do something about it? We then kind of did a little bit of research and realized that the numbers were very, 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 very small. But this was 10 years ago now. And we thought, well, let's take that kind of leap of faith and let's bring 4 products to market, which would have been a polo shirt, a foul weather jacket, polycotton trouser, and an over trouser. So at the very least, we could kit a female wearer out top half and bottom half.
Yeah, but was it hard in the very beginning to enter that market? You said it's very little numbers were there.
It was a very lonely space. There was almost an echo as we entered that room. But we just felt that with the advancements of safety, as much as anything else, so therefore more of the jobs that were kind of being carried out in construction railways were more now being led towards machinery, safety standards were higher. So it meant that it wasn't the kind of old days of maybe a big strong man with a spade digging a hole. It was more about proper skilled operators behind it. And that was where we felt, well, things are only going to get more and more modern. So let's go for it and let's see if we can create that almost demand by making it available.
And how has this design evolved during the years when it comes to female PPE and clothing?
We've learnt a lot of lessons. We've made a lot of changes. I mean, on the first 4 products that I just mentioned, one of the biggest things we did, which, to be fair, it worked from a, I guess, exposure point of view, is that we made all the trims fuchsia. So all the zips, the pullers, the labelling, everything about the garment, although it was primarily high-vis with the tape, it had this fuchsia colour to it. We saw it inside the business as a way of identifying the product, not to say this is because women are going to wear it. We saw it as if you hang up on a peg, there's the male one with the blue label, there's the female one with the orange, with the fuchsia label, because essentially you would possibly just pick up the next jacket you see on the peg. So it was done for all the right reasons. But when I started to do feedback groups with a number of the larger kind of businesses like your Skanskas, Heidelberg Hansons, Mott MacDonald in the UK, a lot of the forums were kind of saying to me, it's 50-50. We love the fact that you're bringing high-vis for female wearers, but do you really need to be so almost garish on the fuchsia colour? And so because we felt we weren't going to just rest on our laurels, we thought, let's change it. Let's get this how wearers want it. So we made that a change to get the trims more in line with the male products. So that was kind of the first milestone, was to make that change. Off the back of that change, we then developed waistcoats that could be worn by female wearers. We then moved on to mid layers like soft shells and sweatshirts, product and body warmers that came to light. Because another thing that's important to point out with when we started the journey is that we wanted to try and improve the male market, and to do that, it would have been easy for us just to bring a basic product with a quilt line jacket, a basic waistcoat, and a pair of over trousers, which do nothing more than just give price parity on the male designs. But what we wanted to do was actually try and make it better for the men as well. So we deliberately pitched the garments at a different technical level. So we used more breathable, more waterproof fabrics, more wicking type fabrics for maybe polo shirts. And that meant then that with the, say, 6 wearers that we had on that site of 100 people that were females, they would all get the good stuff or the middle stuff, if you want. And all the men would say, well, hang on a minute, what about ourselves? And then it made the buyers and the people say, well, hang on a minute, yeah, there is a good reason, because these ladies are probably performing slightly better and they're looking after their kit better because it's of a better level, and it's kind of moved the level up. So it was a kind of a deliberate ploy to try and make that all happen as one big thing. So although it was for the ladies, it's helped improve the market for the men.
So I assume you had the feedback from female, but also male side as well.
Absolutely. I mean, just the kind of your typical male wearer probably wouldn't be as vocal, about it, because they just accept. There was a lot of acceptance around high-vis clothing, and I think it can still be very much seen as very disposable. So therefore, you don't want to spend lots of money on it. But the reality is, if you want to cope with temperature changes, waterproofing, and get that efficiency out of your workers, well, that should work in line for men and ladies. And that's where, again, when we developed the range, we deliberately went for a layering system, because it was just felt that with menopause and things like that, the temperature changing would be really well suited to having a base layer, a middle layer, and an outer layer that you could just interchange and interwork, rather than just saying, there's your coat with a quilt lining and no regulation around it.
But how does the process look like? You said you really use the feedback that you get both from men and women, but how does the process look like when you receive the feedback, and how it affects the...
So we obviously created our original garments, which expanded and expanded, and then we would go and speak with end users, have big groups of female wearers, and let them pretty much take aim it was very much a case of open forum. Tell me what you really think. What's missing? Because some of the interesting points that came across were we'd made pockets smaller on a pair of cargo trousers. Well, one female trialer said to me, but I've got exactly the same equipment as a man. I've got the same ruler, screwdriver, phone, keys. Just because I've got a slightly smaller hand, it doesn't mean to say I don't need the same amount of storage space. So again, but then we go back to the drawing board and we make that change. So the next batch of stock comes in with the bigger pocket. So most of the ideas that have come through have come from wearers or people that we've actually spoken to that are doing jobs, rather than us just doing pretty designs, turn it into a garment and being all about aesthetics, which we want the garments to look nice, but first and foremost, they need to be high vis, so you need to be visible. Secondly, they need to fit correctly. And then if you can make it look nice as well, being the third element to this, then I think you're on a winning path. You really are. But often with products in general, the first piece comes first. Let's make it look nice, but it's not practical and it doesn't function correctly.
And not everybody is listening to the feedback. Because I think the fit is also going with with the comfort, because comfort in the physical jobs is super important, as I know.
Yeah, and that's where when you kind of look at, say, breakthrough moments, we developed a specific trouser which had stretch properties, because again, the feedback we were getting was we need movement, we need to be able to stretch. My trousers I wear when I go walking, running, cycling, they've got give, they've got stretch, they do different things, they help me perform better. So bringing stretch into products has been a real breakthrough, on the female side of things.
Is that inspiration from some activities, hobbies, or different kind of fields when you see people moving?
Absolutely, yeah. Because again, when you're, I don't like to call it selling, but when you're trying to kind of convince people that these are the right types of products that you should be wearing, you tend to, you're trying to educate them by applying it to their normal life. So if you can say, right, you ride a bike, you go running, you like outdoor walking, well, what do you wear? Oh, I layer up, I layer down, I like breathability, I like venting, whatever it may be. And then when you show them that in products that are high-vis, a piece of safety equipment, well, that's it, it's perfect. You've solved the problem for them.
But how does these designs or the different designs differ from the male and the female version of the clothing?
You tend to have a much kind of broader spectrum that you've got to fit, to kit out as such, in terms of a male medium doesn't change that much. You may be a bit taller, that's about it. But a female size 10, for example, you can be short, you can be really tall, you can be all different shapes and sizes. So to get the kind of the shape, the silhouette correct, and then being able to grade it up appropriately is really important, because typically in grading, you can end up just making the legs longer. Well, a size 20 doesn't necessarily mean you've got really long legs. You have to try and make it make sense. So there's definitely a lot more that you've got to think about. But by bringing stretch into the products, it's actually helped bridge the gap between what one size 10 against another size 10 can mean, and also by having shorter leg lengths, tall leg lengths available. So trying to cover the full spectrum is how we go about it.
And when designing, have you encountered any regulatory challenges on that?
Yeah, it was kind of one of the first conversations. ISO 20471 is the standard that high visibility clothing has to meet, and that is driven by X amount of fluorescent fabric and X amount of reflective tape. And so therefore, obviously a size 6XL jacket is huge, but a size 8 lady is tiny. But in theory, you're trying to get as much visibility as possible. So what we did was to lean in on dual standards. So essentially by pairing a pair of trousers with the top half, you can kind of add the two together, so to speak, because if you think about it spatially, you're making that person visibly bigger. So by ensuring that maybe size 8, for example, that you're not having to wear this big long garment just to meet the minimum requirements of the amount of fluorescent fabric you have. If you pair it with a pair of trousers, well, you're capturing it all together.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But how do you think this market is changing for women workwear? We like to call it a sleeping giant about to wake up, but do you think it's the beginning of a new era?
I think I'd like to think that people like Leo Workwear persevering with it, sticking with it, has given others not necessarily the inspiration, but the desire to say, it's here. We have to embrace this. We can't just see it as there's not enough sales in that. We need to serve female wearers. So yeah, I think the fact that we've got to 26 different products tells you that it's a market that we believe in. And so by being a bit of a benchmark now, I think that's really kind of is helping more products come to market. We're happy to see other manufacturers, strangely enough, bringing more products in, because I think more choice is what everybody wants anyway. But I think that visibility from a distributor, like a Lyreco, to the end user is really key. Products are available, and I think sometimes in recent times we've heard this. I didn't realise it was available. And when I think with Leo, we've had female garments for 10 years. That's where there's a duty of the distributor, but also the buyer, the end user, to say, hang on a minute, we need to make this available.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think that distributors, but also the sales teams and the suppliers as yourself should focus not only spreading the words that there is equipment available. These are the struggles, but also a little bit educate our customers?
Yeah, definitely. I think
about the right fit.
That's exactly it. I think it's not just saying, look, there's female options available. It's saying,
why is it important?
Yeah, the fit is there now to ensure that it's not kind of on you and bits are flapping around on it that make it unsafe. So we can kick you out safely for your day at work. So yeah, right fit is the buzzword, if you want, that should be used. I think that's try garments on. We've tried different things where we've almost created like a pop-up shop effect, where we've taken our full size ranges to certain places and said, let's get 30, 40 females in and get you trying and see if it works. And they love that. It's hard for us to do, but they love that concept of trying it. But the more people that try our products on, the more people that do trials, the more people that will wear it, the more that they will then spread the good news that these products actually fit. So therefore, it's not just a market employee. They actually work.
Yeah, also they can provide more and more feedback to you. So you constantly can change and actually.
So going back to what you were saying about the design model, it takes that. The more we get these garments onto people's backs, the more we can listen and make subtle changes to where we currently are. But that also then drives the future of what else is left. I mean, we recently launched a coverall because, again, a coverall was a piece of equipment that lots of people were asking for. But rather than just doing a conventional coverall, we did a coverall that zips in the middle. So it splits into two pieces.
Okay, so you can use it as a separate as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So again, there's innovation. And it's probably the first product we've ever launched where we've done that before the men's one.
Oh, okay.
So ladies finally came first.
About time.
Absolutely.
But I think it's quite interesting, and as you said, the more visible it is, the more request you will have from end users as well to see that my colleague or other companies are using this. Then I, as a female, can also request it from my company that I work for, and it will be spread.
Yeah. A lot of workers in these kind of areas, construction, highways, railways, well, they move from project to project. So therefore, the news does spread because people do see different people. It's not like you're positioned in one place permanently. It's obviously it's usually quite a transient kind of job that you're doing. You're moving from projects to projects. So again, that's another great way of embracing it and getting that visibility out there. But also something else that we've done recently is make all the garments are produced from sustainable fabrics. So Ecoviz is now part of this. So it means that when you're looking at the inclusivity piece within your business, well, you can also tie that up with a sustainability piece at the same time. And that's real evolution, to have a full female range that is made from sustainable fabrics. Who would have thought that 10 years ago?
No, that's true. That's a pioneering the field of PPE in general. Yeah.
But what do you see ahead? Do you have any new product line up for us, or any new markets to enter in?
We want to still be the high visibility clothing specialist. You know, there are other areas we could easily lead the range, the brand into, I'm sure. But I think first and foremost, we want to secure the female range, add a few extra styles to it. The fact we've got 4 pairs of trousers, 2 polo shirts, 4 mid layers, 2 jackets, that's a very, very strong start. So if we can keep adding to that, it just means now that whenever we're producing any new product for Leo, we're thinking male, female, sustainable. So that is a real, again, a breakthrough, that the conversation has changed.
Okay, on to the last question. Do you think technology plays a big part in the PPE world and safety? And what is Leo's approach to it? Will AI help to fill in the gender PPE gap?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be ways that this can be embraced. I mean, we're very much people focused. And we still strongly believe that although we can get help maybe on some of the pattern making and some of the data information you could collect on wearers, we still want people trying on product. And so although it will come, we will see it, I'm sure, but I don't think we'll ever want to fully rely on just a computer generating what we feel is the right fit. We will still rely on human beings to do that.
Yeah, definitely, because the end user is always in the focus on your feedback and everything. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we want to take responsibility for what we're producing. We're not going to blame a computer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Putting the people first.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thank you, Luke, very much. That was super interesting.
Okay, thank you.
That's it for now. We hope you learned a lot, and we've given you some helpful information when buying or looking for female workwear. Thank you.